Hi everyone, this is Emily. I'm wearing a gray t-shirt that says Brown Rugby to represent one of the many places I call home. My roots extend through my parents to Taiwan. I was raised in a suburb of Massachusetts, grew up playing all sorts of team sports, and felt like I met myself for the first time when I joined the women's rugby team in college. After injuries in my first WPL season, I discovered refereeing. I have referee roots in New England, South Africa, Potomac, and did some national stuff for USA Rugby, and miraculously at the international level too. Recently, I worked full-time as a referee development manager for New Zealand Rugby. I lost that job due to COVID, and now I work in research and data for Gallaudet University. It's great to be here with all of you today. Thanks for the welcome and invite. One thing I know for certain, we all have a deep and complex love for rugby, and have the potential to be our best selves through rugby. So before I dive into the research, I want you to think, why are we here today? Why are we referee coaches? And why do we do this? I expect all of us in some part of our why to center the referees we want to coach. So it makes sense that the better we understand the refs, the better we can coach. Why am I here? Rosalind invited me to share my research, what she calls real research. In 2018, I conducted a referee needs assessment to highlight the needs of referees that may not be commonly thought of or understood. We centered voices of underrepresented refs. We clarified their experiences, strengths, and needs to illustrate opportunities and barriers to their development. We asked, what are the experiences of underrepresented referees in the US, including experiences seeking and receiving support, and the role and impact of peers, coaches, mentors, and managers. Results. Referee well-being. I adapted a framework for well-being by the Full Frame Initiative, which recognizes that all individuals share the same fundamental interdependent needs. The 5 domains of well-being are social connectedness, stability, safety, mastery, and meaningful access to relevant resources. We don't have time today to dig into this, so I will move on. What's important to understand is that needs look different for different folks. Again, needs look different for different folks. Please feel free to read my research later on to learn more about referee well-being. Key findings. 5 major themes emerged from the research. I will walk through each briefly and then highlight more quotes from referees about CMOs specifically. Theme 1, isolation and mentorship. Referees said, quote, I was training alone, refereeing alone, watching film alone. Some said they just want someone who cares and checks in on you. Refs talked about the relief and emotional comfort of having peers, friends, and coaches to trust, talk to, and lean on. Theme 2, self-determination. One quote, it sucks to know you're not participating in meritocracy. Theme 3, pressure, perfectionism, and vulnerability. Quote, it was ridiculously intimidating. On the other hand, one ref complimented the support from a referee coach who provided a safe space to discuss matters without judgment. Theme 4, one voice. Having one single helpful voice to guide me would have been life-changing. Many refs shared the experience of trying to filter information as a new referee, without knowing when they were receiving good coaching or bad coaching. A contributing factor was the lack of consistency across ref coaches, especially in cases where refs were coached by a different person with different standards. Theme 5, accessibility and discrimination. Quote, trying to crack into a society of mostly older men without feeling like I had peers or mentors was challenging. Many referees felt that there was a culture of gatekeeping among the established referee societies. Additional quotes. There are plenty of great CMOs out there, but there are plenty of terrible ones as well, and inevitably, you're going to get sage advice from someone talking out of their ass. You hear different answers to the same questions all the time, so you have to pick and choose what to take on board and who to listen to. Often, someone decided that I didn't look thin enough to ref, and the feedback wasn't immediately usable. Those who are a decade removed from high-level stuff have been detrimental and influence you to ref according to different standards. Referees that made national panel were influential. When I first started, he would call me Fridays before a game and we would discuss the game and the teams. I was new and his insight helped me. I was fortunate to have 3 highly competent reps within earshot for my first years. I was able to meet with him on a weekly basis and talk things through, which was immense. He was always around in some capacity and gave some good advice in those early days. They took me from square one to square 100 much faster than I could have imagined. Alright, so what did we learn? There are 4 takeaways from our research. The one that I feel applies most directly to coaching is takeaway number 2. Practice active listening, defer judgment, and create safe space for vulnerability. And of course, try our best to minimize negative behaviors and build on positive coaching methods. Fortunately, that's exactly what Rosalind, Jamie, and Amanda are teaching us here. That's all from me. Thanks for having me.